One of the biggest questions that I hear from mums is how can I actually work on my goals when my kids are around and when they're nearly always home? And that can be a real challenge, especially as perfectionists, because so often we feel like we need the perfect environment and quiet, chance to focus, or even time to get everything set up properly before we begin. So today I wanted to show you how it is possible to get stuff done even with your kids around, and how you can build time, space, momentum, and actually move towards your goals in a way that fits around your life and your current schedule. So the biggest block isn't normally actually time, it's the belief that you need big chunks of time all in one go to get things done. And motherhood rarely gives us big chunks of time where we're uninterrupted for hours. It's just not something that happens very often for us, is it? So instead, we need to learn to get more comfortable with small pockets of time and imperfect circumstances and rolling with the punches and just doing what we can at the time. Another thing that can be really hard for us as perfectionists is stopping and starting and then returning to it later. And that is something that gets slightly easier with time, but it's something we just need to accept and work with if we want to actually achieve our goals. Progress in mum life is in layers that we build up and up. It's not just one long marathon. If you take those 10 minutes as they come up and use them effectively, that is so much more powerful than sitting down and waiting for this magical 1 hour time slot that never actually appears. If you take those 10-minute slots, you'll have achieved so much more than just waiting and not actually getting anything done. As perfectionists, we tend to set the bar really high even to start, and that means getting going is nearly impossible sometimes. So a great way to combat this is to make progress goals. So let's make a minimum version of a goal. So what is the smallest, simplest possible thing that can get me started and get me moving forward? If you're a writer, that could be writing one paragraph. If you are a business owner, maybe that is writing one email or one social post. Perhaps if you've got fitness goals, it's just doing a 10-minute walk. This is something that comes up in Atomic Habits, which is a really good book if you've not read it, by James Clear. And he talks about the idea of, if you're trying to do a fitness goal, literally just making your goal to put on your shoes, put on your trainers, and then do that for a few weeks. And by starting, you're much more likely to carry on. If you put your shoes on, you're like, well, I may as well go for that 10-minute walk. If you start doing the 10-minute walk, you're more likely to say, I'm going to go for a little bit longer. I'm actually enjoying this. It's the starting that's the problem. So by making our entry to starting lower, we're much more likely to actually succeed. When the minimum is small, you remove that emotional resistance to actually get going, and then the ball can start rolling and you're much more likely to continue after you've got going. Now, if you find this really hard, as I know some people find those really small goals hard to focus on, perhaps you could do your minimum, better and best goals. So minimum for the run is to put on your shoes. Better would be to do a 5-minute run. Best would be to do a 15-minute run, whatever that is to you. So even if you achieve your minimum goal, that's amazing. You've still got the ball rolling, but then you still have those other goals to work towards. Another great thing can be to use anchors instead of rigid schedules, because we all know that rigid timetables fall apart when you've got kids. Something goes wrong and you're needed. So let's use anchors in your routine that already exist. This is also something that James Clear talks about in his book of habit stacking. So an example of this would be to choose a specific time, maybe after nap time, after school drop off, while your kids are independent playing in the afternoon, or maybe when they're in bed. And then you compare your goal with the anchor. So perhaps it'll be, when my kids have their afternoon snack, I'm going to spend 10 minutes working on my goal. Your anchors should be flexible, adaptable, and sustainable. And it means that even perhaps if your day's running late, that anchor's still going to happen, even if it's half an hour later. So you're still going to work on your goal. Whereas if you say at 3 p.m, I'm going to do this, and then everything goes wrong, you're much more likely to not follow through. Another thing we can do to help ourselves get going is to set up your environment so you can quickly start working on your goal instead of spending half the time getting organised and getting everything together. And this just removes the friction. An example of this could be to keep your notebook by your bedside table, or perhaps having a goal basket with everything you need. So that could be, if you're working on your business, having your laptop, your camera, your notebook, whatever it is that you need, all in one place, and you can quickly grab that basket or that bag when you need it and you have time to work on your goal. If you work more digitally, it could be creating shortcuts on your phone, which is something I really have been getting into recently, or perhaps by saving templates on your computer. If you work more digitally with your goals, it may be to create shortcuts, which is absolutely life-changing. I personally enjoy using Android widgets on my phone, and I've got everything set up on different pages. I've got one for personal and then one for business stuff, and it's all like the shortcuts for the spreadsheets and the to-do list and everything that I need. So it works really well for me. And that can be a way to remove some friction when working with your goal. When you have everything ready to go and easy to grab, you can make use of those small pockets of time. If you've only got 10 minutes, but it's going to take you 10 minutes to get everything you need together and find your laptop charger and everything like that, you're not going to get any work done in that time. So the final thing I want to mention is it is okay to involve your kids when it makes sense. So not all goals need quiet. Some do, and some it's much easier with quiet, but it's okay for your kids to see you working towards your goals. And even if it might make it take longer, you're more likely to get more done than not doing it at all, if that makes sense. If I'm working on the laptop and my youngest wants to come and see what I'm doing, I'm still going to get a few more minutes work done than if I just quickly shut the laptop and put it away and then didn't get it back out again. Maybe it'll take me longer than if I didn't have my kids in the house, but that's just not an option all the time. Remember, independent play is really good for kids. So if they start playing on their own and you're like, oh, I can maybe just grab my notebook and make some notes or do a brain dump on the sofa while they're playing with that, go for it. Let them enjoy themselves. It's really good for them and it's really good for you. Simple ways to include them in your work can be to have them do their own goal time, which is quite cool, especially when they're getting older and can actually make goals. And you can give them a small activity basket to work on while you're doing your stuff to keep them entertained. And another way that can be really helpful is to set a timer so they know how long you're going to be working for. And I find that one to be very helpful as well. It's very hard for a child to sort of understand how long 10 minutes is going to be. We have a visual timer that we use that they can actually see turn around. And they found that really helpful because it conceptualizes the time for them and they know when mummy's going to be back to playing with them again. So one of the hardest parts of this as perfectionist mums is to accept that it's going to be slower progress. But slow progress is still progress, and your timeline is no reflection on your capacity or your intelligence or your motivation. It's just a reflection of the season of life that you're in at the moment, and it won't always be this way. And that's okay, because the goal isn't speed, the goal is consistency, it's alignment, it's creating a life you love for you and your family, and to support the person that you want to become. So overall, you can work on your goals at home with your kids. You just need to take a different approach, one that respects your current situation of life and the demands that motherhood brings in reality. So small pockets of time, minimal versions, anchors, and an environment that supports goal setting can help you move forward quickly without having to wait until your kids aren't with you, because that's much harder to do. If you'd like some support with your January goals, I have a free goal setting workbook, which includes a reflection of 2025 and then how to set your big goals for 2026 and then break them down into much smaller micro goals to actually get them done in spaces like this, in 10-minute spaces of time. So good luck, and let's go find those 10 minutes of time.